Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name's Laurie Kirk and I'm from APMG International, and welcome to this webinar, Making Service Your Number One Priority. My name's Laura. As I said, I work with APMG International in Canberra, Australia, and tonight we provide you a panel discussion on how we're going to make service your priority using our colleagues from Service Desk Institute. The format for this evening is to have a panel discussion, but prior to the panel discussion, we're going to have an overview from David Wright from the Service Desk Institute. We're thinking of service. I think Sir Richard Branson has nailed it. The key to set realistic customer expectations is to set them and not just meet them, but exceed them, and preferably in unexpected and helpful ways. And I'd particularly like you to focus on a recent service desk or interaction you've had with a service desk person, either internally in your organisation or externally, and just think about what that experience has been like. I'd like you to think of the positive experience, and it really is a skill. And then that skill, how do you train? How do people ensure that service desk people get the correct training? It is a profession that requires skill and considerable amount of knowledge. Around the table tonight, we have a panel. We have an international panel. I'm in Canberra, currently in Sydney at the moment. We have Carl from Talk IT Australia. He's in Sydney as well. We have Michael from New Zealand. We have Keith also from the UK. Keith, Lynn, David and Tom from the UK, all providing unique insights into Service Desk Institute work and the SDI course. If you have a look, you may have, if you haven't already, for those who aren't familiar with what the Service Desk Institute certification provides, I commend you to just Google in and have a look at the website, which I believe has been recently refreshed. There's a wealth of experience and wealth of guidance that you can find there. This is something that APMG is an exam institute, global exam institute, and we provide global reach for a number of certifications, and we partner with scheme owners like SDI who want to take advantage of our global reach, but also we need the expertise that candidates who have done an exam can, after they've done the exam, can get continued guidance and support, and that's something that SDI does very, very well. On our own website, this is what the website will look. It's being refreshed this current week, so that's given on our own website. Some of the information is provided. Currently, up until about the end of this week, which is the first week in July, first week in August, you would have found information about the Service Desk Institute work on our certifications page, and that just gives you a scope of the amount of other certifications that are available through APMG. It's a great pleasure. I'd like to welcome David. I just checked. David, how are you? David's the Chief Value Officer for SDI. How are you this morning, David?
Very well, thank you, Laurie, and hope you're well also.
Good, good. Yes, it's well. What I'd like to do is, David, if you've got a series of slides and presentations about an overview of SDI, and then we'll open into the panel discussion. So, are we happy, David? If I just you just tell me when you'd like to move through.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and thank you, Laurie, and hello everybody who's listening and will listen to this recording as well. It's really great again to have the opportunity to be part of these webinars, which is great. And certainly thank you to APMG, especially Laurie, for again helping to make these webinars happen, as he's mentioned. And as I think I mentioned this the last time as before, I really love the fact that IT service stretches globally. It's the same common language with maybe some slightly different flavors here and there, but essentially the same language that we use internationally. So it's great to have such an international perspective again onto today's webinar. So my name is David Wright. I'm the Chief Value Officer at Service Desk Institute. My role there is to create, uncover, curate and develop value propositions for Service Desk Institute and our customers. So it's about owning value, it's about driving value and creating value, which is it's a pretty cool thing actually. I also look after our partner relationships globally as well, which again is pretty cool because you get a chance to speak to some really great people as well as our customers, which is really fantastic, actually. I joined SDI 3 years ago from industry, and I have some 20 years experience in business process outsourcing, customer service, contact center as a thing, I suppose, and IT outsourcing, so service desk, IT support, and IT service management. Before I joined SDI, I was a customer and loved what they did and had an opportunity to join the organization. So it's again pretty cool. I've got quite a unique perspective of being a customer prior to joining the organization, and now helping to deliver brilliant services to our SDI and our customers and our community. I'm passionate about Service Desk. I'm passionate about the value that Service Desk delivers an organization. I'm passionate about the delivery of service excellence. Next slide, please, Laurie. So this slide, this is pretty much why we exist, really. These are the types of behaviours that organisations we work with exhibit. Organisations who care about their customers, care about their people, care about the experience they deliver as part of their service. Customers who want to highlight their commitment to service excellence, their dedication to best practice, and obviously customers that want to continually improve as well. And improve the professionalism of their operation. So in short, we work with organisations who want to be brilliant, and that's essentially exactly what we want as well. Next slide, please, Laurie. This is just a brief bit of information about the history of SDI. Service Desk Institute is the leading professional body for everybody working in the IT and service support industry. We set the internationally recognized best practice standards for service desk and service desk professionals. And it's these standards, and some of which we'll be talking about today, that form the basis of SDI's professional qualifications program and the service desk certification program. Our services complement established IT service management best practice like ITIL, ISO 20000, ISO 9000. And the stuff that we put out there, the training and certification stuff we put out there, the information we put out there, helps to contextualize all that and help people and organizations apply that best practice in service. And we've been around since 1988, so pretty much 30 years supporting a brilliant community, the service desk and IT support community globally. Next slide, please, Ollie. This is our mission, which is very simply to inspire service desks to be brilliant. And to support that, we encourage organizations to embrace best practice and raise the quality of service, to engage with their customers, to create inspiring service experiences, to invest in and empower their teams to be better, and to demonstrate exceptional value. So very simple stuff there, but very powerful stuff as well. Next slide, please, Laurie. And underpinning all that, this is our philosophy as an organization. So it's to surprise, delight, and inspire. And that's what that's with our customers, that's with our community, with our partners, with each other. And sometimes that's pretty hard to do when it's busy and when it's challenging. But that's what we aspire to do in all our interactions. And it's about inspiring the community, a fantastic community, to be more. Next slide, please. And for us, it is about our local community, or our global community, rather. We have customers and partners in Europe, obviously in the UK, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, India, and also development partner propositions in Southeast Asia. Our ATOs, our approved training organizations, are incredibly important and help us grow internationally and push the message out there in their own territories. And APMG certainly help us to spread the word as we are doing today, which is fantastic. The Oceania region, so New Zealand, Australia, is certainly an area that we're trying to stimulate. The service desk and IT community there, to support that, to grow that, with help from our ATOs. And obviously that's one of the reasons we're here today. But it's not only that region, it's about the global regions that we're developing, and what sort of service desk, global service desk, looks like and feels like in all those regions. Next slide, please, Laurie. Not too many left now, guys. These are some of the things that we do to support our mission. One of our core offerings you'll see listed there is certified training, certified service desk training, which is all about creating IT professionalism, giving people the skills to help them create a professional service. As mentioned, SDI has a very diverse global customer base. And the service desk, I think, well, it's proven actually, isn't it, is a brilliant entry point into any organisation. It's a great place to start in any organisation where people can not only learn about technical support, but also get an intimate and unique perspective of an organisation. This includes the organisation's strategy, its mission, its vision, its customers, its technologies, its challenges, as well as the services provided. So the service desk and IT support staff get the opportunity to develop their careers, and certainly I've been lucky enough to see that happen in any direction they wish from service desk, into any part of IT service management, or even outside the service desk, in any direction they wish, because they pick up some critical organizational experience while working in the service desk. And we're all about supporting that and helping people develop. So our goal really is to create lifelong SDI advocacy. It's our aspiration. We aim to create advocates of every service desk we engage with, and because we know that service desk will create the next generation of team leader, of manager, of director, of CIO. So we really care about how they develop and the community strengthens and becomes better. So supporting and growing our international service community is extremely important. Adding value to our community is key, and that's how we support our mission. So that's a quick snapshot of SDI, Laurie, and I'm back to you.
Thanks very much, David, and that's particularly interesting when you're looking at, you reinforce that point that the service desk is often a very direct link to that company's or organisation's reputation, isn't it? It's that first point, either internally or externally. Now, you had a annual conference recently in the UK. When was that? That was the end of March, was it?
Yeah, March, April, every year. That's right. Annually.
Every year. What was some of the, I just know we had a discussion just prior to that. Could you share with some of the key points? I know there's feedback coming through from your members, but also particularly any new developments. And this particular call is structured. We've got a number of people through the Asia Pacific where we're looking at stimulating SDI certifications. Were there anything developments? Tell us about the conference and what came out of that.
Yeah. Well, I've been very lucky to be involved in an SA conference as a practitioner, as a sort of consumer of that, somebody who sort of sits in the audience and somebody who's part of the team to deliver it. The team work extraordinarily hard. It's almost like the Forth Bridge in the UK. In Scotland, there's a bridge, the Forth Bridge, which once you've, and when you keep the thing going, so even painting the thing, as soon as you finish painting it, you start again. And it's very much like that with conference. So yes, the conference is one of the highlights of the year for us. This year was probably one of the best I've been involved with. It was fantastic, very diverse in its topics and its feel, which is a very, very important thing. So it's not specific to any region, but certainly the content is suitable for all global regions. We normally start off with, it's a 2-day conference, so we normally start off with a pre-conference sort of network evening and also a certification workshop, which was fantastic, just to get people into the mood. And we absolutely focus on creating a brilliant experience. So there's plenty of motivational human focus keynote sessions along with ITSM content delivered by real life practitioners. And, that's really important. I think real life people who sort of create best practice, adopt best practice, adapt their services. So our customers, the community, it's great to see them talking about what they do and their successes, and also leading industry experts as well. Some of the topics we talked about this year, Laurie, included transformation, and that's not only technology transformation, but teams as well. So transforming teams, creating healthy and happy teams. There was some information in there about agility and agile services, creating agile services. Technologies like chat channels and AI were very, very key this year. There's quite a bit there about the cognitive channels and how communication is changing. There was an awful lot of information about leadership skills for ITSM. There was some stuff in there about DevOps in the service desk, about cybersecurity and the role of the service desk there, about creating and building and changing end user behaviors with technology. And the list goes on, Laurie, right? It's stuff about SIAM, about knowledge management. There's some great stuff in there about neuroscience and what the brain is. I know it sounds a bit odd for an IT sort of conference, but it all adds up to create, you know, what that whole thing is and what it is to work in a service desk environment as well. So yeah, an awful lot of stuff about the Genius Bar, stuff about the evolving workforce, about business relationship management, digital transformation. Yes. Even actually, Lynn spoke as well about inspiration and innovation, which went down very well, I think, Lynn.
Thanks, Tom. Well, David, I just noted on our audience tonight we have people representing financial sector, also technical sectors in IT, even in the insurance sector, and also the teleco sectors. What I'm interested in the type of customers. Do you see a difference in the type of customers that came this year? Like, is there a difference this year to the previous one that you've had? They're great topics, and I'm really, Lynn, we will pick up on that point about inspiration and leadership as well. So, did you notice what sectors?
Do you know, probably the one sector that stands out for me every year is the education sector. So higher education is probably one of the strongest parts of our community. And again, this year there were many international universities that came, which was brilliant because, you know, obviously these organisations are supporting the next generation of user internally and if you like, if you want to term it, as customers as well. So you know, with such a diverse community, right, that you see all types, as you mentioned, financial services right the way through to health, public sector, private sector, some big MSPs. But I think the notable one for me is the university community. I think it's very strong.
Lynn, what did you think when you presented your piece? Did you get some interesting feedback, and what were the sectors that you found out were interesting this year?
This year, it was the sheer breadth of attendees, the industries and sectors they were from. I don't think there was a single sector that wasn't represented, certainly from all the people that I was speaking to. And I'll echo what David said about the breadth of topics that were covered by the presenters as well. I've been to a lot of these conferences, and I have to agree with David. I think it's one of the best we've ever had. The sense of professionalism within the industry now is absolutely stunning. As somebody who's been there since the beginning, the sense of professionalism just absolutely stunned me this year.
And what was your topic, Lynn? Your topic was on?
My topic was innovation. It was finding the 1%, with success being 99% perspiration, 1% innovation. It was well attended. All of the sessions, I think, were very well attended this year. It went down really well. People took a lot away from it. My presentations tend to be a simple idea put into context that people can take away and is going to change their thinking. So that's how mine went.
That's good. Now, can I ask for people that are in this area of the world, are there outputs from because I think this sounds a lot of interesting discussion from there. Can we go to your website and find any outputs from your conference?
Yes, yeah, you can, Laurie. Certainly there was a delegate pack, but there's some information on there as well about last year's and next year's. And if anybody wants to know anything, by all means, you know, hello@SDI. The email address, you can pretty much get anything through that. So I'm sure there's to get some video stuff or presentations too.
Thank you. Look, I noticed you said there was something, you mentioned the agile word here. One question that did come out when I was talking to a number of clients about a week ago was that they were saying, is the service desk relevant? We're doing everything. How does it link with agile, our agile approaches? Is it something, is service desk having to evolve as we see agile being taken on? I'm interested in probably your perspective there.
Yeah, I certainly think working in IT service management is a very important thing, right, experience-wise. I'm very lucky enough to have worked for some fantastic organisations. The last one was in the UK, managing service operations for a very large, globally managed outsourcing organisation. And was, as with everyone who does that or works in service escalation support, I think sort of learning there, understanding there, seeing there, how you translate best practice into service is really, really important and a critical consideration. We know the industry is changing. We know that methodologies are adapting and changing. We know that technology is changing, and we know that the end user wants to consume technology in different ways. But I think what's key for us is that, and certainly when you look at our customer base, which is, again, as we've discussed, very diverse, we see almost a 2 or 3 speed customer base sometimes. We see customers that are adopting, designing, integrating technologies and methodologies at the forefront of that, leading that. Not so long back, literally within the last few months, we've seen some very big managed service providers implement AI or virtual assistant technology, just, and that's come about in the last sort of 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere. So we see some leading organizations, and we still see very much organizations just developing the foundations of service as well. So it's quite a paradox sometimes. And I think what's key, Laurie, is to understand that irrespective of how these methodologies and technologies change, you still need a foundation of service. You still need capabilities and skills to help deliver and support service and change. So yes, certainly, as we look at agile propositions, it doesn't mean the service desk stops doing what it needs to do. We'll always need that. Processes, the way to support the end user or the end-to-end life cycle of support. We'll still need all that. We may do things slightly differently in the future. There may be a move to, or there is certainly a move to agile approaches to help deliver services, but we'll still need quality assurance, we'll still need governance, we'll still need to need the skills to make all that happen. So yeah, we're seeing things change, we're seeing teams adapt methodologies and changing what they do to create better service, but we'll still need those skills to help deliver all that.
Thank you. It's now a good opportunity to open up. I've got some specific, we've got a great expertise in our panel tonight, and I've got some specific questions I'd like to ask. And Michael, welcome from New Zealand. Welcome. You trained for Offtheshelf, and
I do, yes.
You're in Wellington, are you, Michael?
I'm in Auckland. Can you hear me? Sorry.
In Auckland, yes, we can.
Thanks.
Auckland, there we go. Now, Auckland, that was my mistake. Apologies to my New Zealand cousins. Now, Michael, a little bit of your background, but I specifically, could you talk about how it enhances ITIL? You're also as a trainer. Yep,
I'm a full-time trainer at Aldous in Auckland, and it complements ITIL completely. Where ITIL would give IT service management their guidelines for best practice. The SDI and the service desk analyst courses and all of these look at the service desk responsibility and their single point of contact and all of those very practical skills on how to be responsible and help those processes that ITIL actually gives the whole of the IT team. So it's a wonderful mix or a wonderful match between the two.
Now, you've trained SDI with a number of people. Do you find that you're training ITIL and they lead into that SDI? And have you worked in the financial sector? Is that an area that could take this?
I have. A few years back, when Westpac insourced their service desk back to Auckland, I trained up the initial service desk team here. To echo what David said earlier, the tertiary institutes do seem to be sending a lot of their service desk people through. So I seem to be doing a lot of. I've just actually today I have had someone that's recently been, about a year back, has been on my ITIL course, and now is doing the SDA part of it. So they work very, very nicely together here.
That's good. That's excellent. So if we've got you delivering that training, I'd like to now open up and welcome Tom and Keith. Now, Tom and Keith have some specific expertise. I'll let them introduce their work. But Tom, you're now working for SDI, but Keith and Tom, you come from employment. You look at trying to make sure that people employing want service desk people. So you're from the other side of the fence, so to speak. Tom, I'm interested in both introduce yourself in that and your concept is, well, what's the benefits to an employer? What do they get from a person who's had this certification? So welcome, Tom.
Well, good ways. It's morning over here. Good morning. Well, I used to work in service management recruitment, and I joined SDI about 3 months ago now. In answer to your question, I think employers look for not just the certification side of things, but the practical experience as well. And what it brings to how it enhances their application, what it brings to the organisation, is an ability to adapt more or less immediately to their work environment without sort of as much training as perhaps anticipated. So from the employee point of view, it brings, well, from both sides actually, it brings immediate value to the organisation.
Excellent. And do you believe it can be, in that context, tailored? Employers feel that that knowledge that they learn, the theoretical knowledge, can be easily tailored, because that's often a criticism of some theories or some knowledge.
Yeah, I think once the employer has benchmark knowledge and foundation knowledge of any methodology or any standard, then yeah, they've got that information to be able to adapt to the company's own processes and ways of working.
Thanks, Tom. Now, Keith, before I hand over to Keith, please, everyone that's listening, you also have the chat function on your right side there. Please, if you'd like to raise a question, if you'd like to raise any questions, just put them there, and we'll certainly have time for questions as we go through this evening. Keith, welcome. Keith, you also looking at sourcing good, well-qualified people for employers. So welcome. And what in your mind, building for what Tom said, what are some of the benefits to the employer?
Well, the clients that we work in, Laurie, we find that more and more nowadays they're either asking for, let's say they're always asking for the ITIL foundation qualification, but more and more asking for the Service Desk Institute's training courses, because it's becoming more apparent that if they've gone through these courses, they've gone through the accreditations, they're obviously bringing a certain standard in to their existing service desk, which can benefit the industry and the environment they're in. And I think, as Tom mentioned, obviously setting standards and sort of setting benchmarks, it's becoming more and more of a requirement to have on somebody's CV. So it's certainly beneficial.
Now, before I hand over to the trainers, who probably will be a bit biased, do you find that employers have a preference for online or face-to-face training? Keith, any preference do you see, or the employers are making sure that do they have a preference for any online or face-to-face training?
I think the employers are certainly they're happy if they've undergone the training. Obviously, be it face-to-face, there's always the chance to improve their empathy skills as well when they're working one-on-one with trainers or in a group. But online training certainly gives theory and sort of comprehension of the environment. But I think there's been more of a shift to the face-to-face training to improve the quality of the courses that are delivered. And I think the trainers that obviously we've got here today and indeed deliver these courses certainly can probably vouch for that, I think.
Well, it's a lovely segue, and welcome Carl. Carl's from Talk IT Australia. He's also located in Sydney. Welcome, Carl. How are you?
Fantastic, Laurie. Thanks so much. It's good to hear from you.
Well, it's good to have we've got three trainers here, so I've balanced it. We've got a pretty good balance here tonight. And you also represent from training not only in Sydney with SDI, but also in South Africa. So before I hand over I'll ask also Lynn her impression of, face-to-face or online. But Carl, a little bit about yourself and where SDI fits in with Talk IT, what you've seen in both South Africa and emerging in Australia. I know you've only just recently come to Australia, but as a trainer, where do you see it fits in, and face-to-face or online?
Laurie, yeah, I think it's a great question, and really I agree very much with Keith. It's a matter of preference. I believe that one of the keys to developing capabilities, which is ultimately I think what this kind of interaction would be about, is to learn in a structured and logical manner, but also to be able to apply what you've just learned in practice. And this kind of exercise, this kind of interaction is often where a large amount of the value actually lies. And in-person training provides a fantastic platform for this. So we find, especially with something like SDI type training, that it's very effective, and the value really is in the face-to-face side. Definitely increased value anyway.
Good. Lynn, what about you? Said you've been training in this product for a period. What have you seen with the push for online, or do you feel that there's a realisation, what Carl's just said, that interaction is so valuable?
I think it's the experience that people are after. You know, online training has its purpose. It's very practical. It's very cost effective. And to be honest, with our courses, it's pretty much the same learning that you get, whether it's classroom based or online, and you still have the opportunities to network. But I think, as Carl said, it's that experience of being in a classroom with other people from other organisations doing the same job you're doing, where you can talk through scenarios, where you can talk about the practical implications and applications of the standards that so many people find invaluable.
I suppose that leads on nicely. This is a global training product, and it's very hard. Anyone that wants to put together a standardised course material for a global market is quite difficult. But I'm interested is the material that APMG provides to its accredited training organisations, or ATOs. Does it need a lot of modification? Carl, you've used it in South Africa. You'd use it in Australia. How do you feel that you need to do a lot of modification?
Laurie, no, the course material really it's of a superb quality compared to a lot of material that you'd find out there. We don't find a huge amount of modification required, and that includes across cultures and industries as well. So you know, really is nicely laid out and relevant across the board, with very little, if any, modification required.
Lynn, your comments?
Yeah, branding is about all that other ATOs do. That for the presentation, they generally just put the slide deck into their own brand. Other than that, the materials can be taken and used exactly as is. And a lot of ATOs do that, certainly in the UK. And I think it's one of the benefits of SDI partnering with APMG is that quality is built in from the outset. You're very much in keeping things to make it appeal to that global market.
It's also pointed for some of our organisations who I know are on the conference tonight also may have other offices throughout Asia in other areas, so at least they have the confidence that an SDI course in Auckland that Michael's teaching is going to be not dissimilar to you in the UK and Carl. I think that's a huge advantage for an organisation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, okay, so let's just move through there. As a trainer, what are some of the typical responses you get from people attending the course? I'm interested, Michael, Carl and Lynn, what have been some of the interesting responses you've had?
I think
so we'll start with Michael. There we are. We'll go south. So, Michael.
Thanks, Laurie. For me, it's always how well, SDI and the service desk is relatively really new in New Zealand, but how surprised people are on the practical nature, on the full breadth that these courses actually offer them in the 3 or the 4 days or whatever we cover. So really pleasantly surprised at the depth, you know, the breadth of the actual material. So yeah, also the quality is something that people are really like.
Okay. Just so we also, Carl, what's some reactions that you've had or your trainers have had?
Laurie, you know, we don't know what we don't know. And so when individuals come on training of this nature, and because it's pitched at various levels throughout, I think, the life cycle, we find it's extremely powerful with people who are new to the service desk, for instance. It gives them a great understanding of the importance of the service desk and gives them a much more holistic understanding of their role. But also when you find organizations that have got a well-established service desk and people who are themselves are experienced in this area, we always find people are surprised by how much they're able to take away and implement and improve their service desk. So really is a extremely well-rounded and well-received set of training courses and certifications.
Lynn, you've trained in the UK and other countries. Your comments, or what's been some of the feedback that you've had, positive in that regard?
I think it varies. Managers tend to go away all fired up, willing to take on and change the world. They go away with this action plan that is kind of pages long in some cases, and they're ready to go and take on their organisations and really whip things into shape. And that empowerment comes through in the analyst courses as well. I've had analysts go away feeling that they're now empowered to own their roles, that they can take it on, they can make it theirs, they've got that knowledge to go with their experience. And we teach people like from 19-year-old apprentices, this is their very first job, all the way through to people who've been in the industry for many years, and everybody always takes away something from it. It refreshes them, it renews them, and it makes them, it's this sense of professionalism. Oh, I am part of a profession, I'm not just doing a job.
Yes, I'm not just being given a ticket to serve. I think that was a lovely quote that someone sent to me about why I particularly like this course. It made me realise that I'm part of a bigger global community. And I thought that really summed that up.
Yeah.
So considering we talked about sectors at the conference, but I'm interested also from anyone, particularly I might start with you, Carl, sectors that a typical SDI person would for training come from, and what have you seen of interest, particularly in South Africa? The sectors.
Laurie, I would say our experience is very similar to what the panel's been saying so far. So in terms of sectors, it's not really restricted to any particular area. We get a lot from education, so universities, financial, insurance, ISPs, telcos, but really important, and I think what we're seeing here is that we get quite a lot of organizations from all these sectors who are implementing their service desk for, and a lot of them are doing it either externally for customers or internally for their IT. And a big motivation for a lot of these organizations is that there's an increased focus on the requirement for productivity. And there's no area within their organization that is as vital to company-wide productivity as IT. And so they're also finding that with a diverse set of systems and applications that are changing rapidly within the organizations, along with, I think, the changing workforce that we have in terms of uptime expectations and the consumerization and mobile aspect of IT, we are definitely finding that the focus on the service desk in order to create this productivity and support this workforce is becoming quite a big focus area. So a lot of the time it's across the board, but a big focus on IT and IT systems and then external customers.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Michael and then Lynn. Michael, what kind of sectors, or is just anything that
I could almost say ditto to what Carl just said. There's no particular focus from one sector. It is broad, all the sectors. The most interesting experience that I've had lately was a company from the Bay of Plenty in New Zealand that do all the kiwi fruit testing to make sure that it's ripe and healthy. So their service desk came through and did some training. But it's completely all sectors. Anyone that has a service desk and is interested to make them more productive, to make them better at what they do, would benefit.
And finally, Lynn, any comments before we move on to the next question?
No, I agree with the others. There is no typical sector: public, private, large, small, profit, non-profit. The one thing all companies have in common is they have an IT department. And if they have an IT department, they've got somebody doing service and support, whether they call it a service desk or not. Yes. We even get delegates on our courses that are from facilities management, from HR. In the university sector, we get library staff, student administrators. It really is anybody doing service and support. These courses and these standards are going to apply.
Well, that's interesting. That takes that a bit further, and that's a nice segue into Tom and Keith. I've just done my certification, or a number of certifications. How's it going to help enhance my job application? What do you think I should put on there? What have you seen? I'm interested in your comments, Tom, and then Keith.
Yeah, I think especially with organisations that have obviously engaged with SDI with training and our certification programs, certainly look for candidates that have experience in that or working for organisations who have that. However, having said that, if a candidate has that and the organisation isn't aware of that, it does add extra value to the candidate's application, because at the interview phase they can actually explain in more detail what SDI is about and how it's benefit their career moving forward, and that they have the soft skills and the technical skills and the process skills trained by the SDI to enhance their organisation further. So I think it does add a lot of extra value to the CV and to the employer as well.
Keith, your comments on that?
Yeah, I have to concur with Tom there that the service desk managers that are going through the ranks, obviously themselves have obviously spent time with SDI at some point in their career. They've seen the benefits of obviously the courses, the qualifications, and so they're trying to make their environments the best they can be. And so as they're looking to recruit and develop and progress their service desk within the organisation, they do look out for this. So it does make candidates stand apart from others, because you can have a key set of skills, be it the technical knowledge, the customer service skills, but as soon as there's a qualification or accreditation on your CV, it just sort of lifts it a little more, and it sort of it's encouraging for the managers and the recruiting elements who are looking to take their desk and their service to another level.
I think that follows on nicely to one of the other reasons that we like to be partnered with SDI is that there's that ongoing support. So you finish someone in the classroom. So if you're sitting out there, people listening to this, this just doesn't stop in the classroom. You can see the caliber of the training that you get. You've got something that's global. You've got something that enhances your employment prospects. But I might direct this to David. When you finish the training, what other support services are there? And I'm just going to, I know there's one that on the next slide is, I might get you to comment on this particular LinkedIn group. And I think this is an example. We have 2 slides, example of some of the interaction you may have after you've become a member. And how do you become a member or contribute?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, Rory. We've talked about the community aspect of what we do as Service Desk Institute globally, and that's an incredibly important part of why we exist. So absolutely, social channels, if you're looking at LinkedIn and the other social channels we use, are very important for us. It helps us to move information around the community, and it helps us engage with the community, and it's pretty much sort of self-governing. So, the community sort of engage. They ask questions like chat implementation or the value of email in service, whatever. And you usually find some brilliant, nuggets of advice or experience that come out of these conversations, which are fantastic. I think other ways to engage, post-training are with the events that we do internationally. Always a great place to engage. People can, again, learn from each other. From industry experts, from vendor organizations. Always a very, again, as Lynn said, an uplifting, a sort of, a re-energizing sort of thing events are. Obviously, we talk about conference as well. So there are many, many ways. Membership benefits also support engagement with what we call benchmark buddy organizations, where we look to help organizations connect through membership as well. So there are many ways to keep engaged, and as I mentioned earlier, that engage word is very important with us. So we encourage engagement, and as often as we can.
So I think that's when we're looking through what other products could a training company released the package with SDI, because it's very attractive that you train someone that you know they've got their support service. So I'm interested in maybe Michael, Carl, or Lynn. You know, this is a great thing to provide the people you got training. What other products would link in to this? We've heard from Michael about ITIL, but Lynn first, then Carl, and then Michael.
There are other workshops. Certainly SDI offer workshops where we can actually take an aspect of service that's talked about in the standards, and we can go in and work with organisations to actually help put them into practice, if you like. It also packages very nicely with the service desk certification program, because the individual professional standards underpin the operation standards as a whole.
Right. So I think, so then, okay, Carl, any comments on that?
Laurie, we definitely find that in addition to the service desk training, there's two elements that are hugely beneficial. The one would be often having the service desk teams understanding some of the more common applications and systems that are used within the organization themselves. So it could just be the application that the users are using and training on those. But certainly ITIL, I agree with Michael, is a big one, especially on the foundation side, just so that you can understand and just really see the best practice methodologies that are being implemented and how they kind of dovetail together. Okay.
And finally, Michael, and then we've got some questions that we've got some panel members come through.
Yeah, I think it hand in hand with the ITIL Foundation, maybe the new ITIL Practitioner course, and then as Carl said, particular entry-level application or technical courses. We've recently seen quite an increase in the Office 365 offerings and needing to support that. So so that would be a good match there.
Good. Now I'm very thankful for a number of people who put some questions through, and I'll probably read the question and then direct it to maybe one person and any other comments. As a question came through, we talked about face-to-face and online, and thank you very much to the person who's put this through. Why not a combination of the blended learning? When we look through there, any comments about sort of combining a bit of blended learning there? I might start with Lynn. Could I ask you to comment, please?
The online offering that we do it kind of is blended learning, because it's all live. You have the instructor there with you. You're doing it as a group. So there are those elements of the blended learning in it. We haven't actually tried blending some online with classroom, but that might be quite an interesting one to maybe do 3 days of it, or a couple of days of it as online learning, and then have a day when everybody's together. That would be quite an interesting proposition, I think.
Carl and then Michael, comments, and we'll move on to the next question. Carl?
Yeah, certainly, Laurie. Our model primarily would be instructor-led training that's live, which I think is what Lynn was alluding to.
Yep.
So some of that is face-to-face, and then some of that is what we call live virtual instructor-led training, where somebody could attend the actual course, but they're sitting remotely and they can interact and participate, view the slides, the diagrams, etc., as if they were in the classroom. But certainly, there's a great place for blended learning. Because as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the theory one could get through any one of these mediums, and then the interaction with the individuals themselves and the exercises, etc., could be done in a face-to-face or live virtual type environment.
Thank you, Michael, and then we'll move on to the next question about agile.
Yeah, exactly what Carl has just said. Alldas has recently moved into Alldas Anywhere, where we have that you can attend the course from anywhere, and together with people in the class or anywhere else, you can go into one of our centres. We've had some interest, especially up north, for the SDI, and I'm just waiting for the bookings. I would love to try it and see how that goes, because I think it would work. It would work quite well.
So I think for the person who raised the question, we've got now training companies has certainly able and starting to be able to do that live online learning, which I think is starting to get there compromised. So that's a good trend. Second question's come about a person who's interested in the person raised by Agile. The person said he moves between service desk and project delivery, so really does see the sharp end of that. And we know that Agile is about a quick turnaround. We know that it also wants a lot of user experiences captured. But people might, service desk people might be quite reluctant. They don't have adequate time to prep or get into this type of delivery. Does SDI have an approach to incorporating agile type deliveries? I might ask Carl to answer that, and any other panelists would. Carl first. SDI and agile. I know you teach both, so I'm interested in that.
We absolutely do, Laurie, and it's actually something that's becoming more commonplace. So what we'll find very often is an organization would not ask for something that's off the shelf. They would say that we want the SDI training done for a particular level of individual, but they would say that we are implementing the Agile Scrum, something like this, and that they'd like the hybrid. So they would like to learn, but they'd like to learn it in the context of the service desk. So the actual examples, exercises, everything is actually geared more towards the service desk while they are learning the methodology of Scrum or Agile. Okay.
Lynn and Michael, do you think you have to have that greater expertise as a SDI trainer of those approaches? And it's not just that, you have to have other approaches as well?
I think you have to have an awareness of the methodologies used within the industry. I mean, we actually teach these, we teach analysts to have this wider view of what's out there in the industry beyond just ITIL, for example. These courses can be delivered as on-site courses dedicated for one organisation, and that really does give you the opportunity to tailor the delivery around the organisation's particular methodologies that they use.
And Michael?
Absolutely. As Lynn said, as a service desk trainer, being aware of what is happening in industry and having just a slightly more in-depth understanding than just pure awareness is vital. And as companies come through and ask for customized training, if there is that requirement, we will make sure that we can tailor the training to their needs. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a question that's been asked, the third question that's been asked from a person. Thank you very much for those previous two. David, and I can direct this one to David. The person said, look, I've been in service desk operations, but I haven't seen any really big innovations. We're still basically using the same tools. We do need innovation, and we need to discuss with people how we can make our support so much better. Phone, email are still the most used mediums. I asked that question to David. Great question. Thank you very much, whoever that was. David, was that, it sounds by the like, but that innovation was quite a big topic on the IA discussion, artificial intelligence and other bits and pieces. What came out of the conference? Was this mentioned at the conference about using different mediums and some innovation?
Absolutely, and I think the commentator is absolutely right. You know, my experience over the last 20-odd years has been about continual service improvement. It's been about learning methodologies that tie together an organisation operation, using continual service improvement and best practice to drive service, and supported by tools that are developing to give an analyst the right way into delivering service as well. And that's been pretty much forever. I think what we've seen over the last sort of I can't even count it on fingers. It seems to be daily that we've seen organizations just changing that, and technology driving that. So you're right. We had a couple of we had Ipsoft there, and they've got a proposition called Amelia, which is an AI, a virtual assistant. And once you start to look at the channels, you're absolutely right about email. I think emails, although people have said it forever, email's dead. If you look at the chat channel, it is becoming a channel of choice. If you look at how virtual assistants and AI cognitive technologies can be supported in that way, things are changing rapidly, absolutely. So I think innovation is, I think we're living in an exponentially changing world, much more exponentially than we were literally 12 months ago. And I think we're going to see an awful lot of innovation, an awful lot of some of the leading organizations I talked about earlier, 2-speed, 3-speed organizations, taking the lead in changing the relationship between service and the user. And I think that's going to be quite an exciting couple of years, guys, and all types of changes.
So I'm conscious of our time, and we've got about 3 minutes. So I'm going to ask each of the panel members, maybe starting with you, David. I think you may have sort of hinted there. What's the service desk function going to look like in 2027? One or two sentences, and I'm going to hand it around the panel, and then we'll close. So, David.
Quickly as I can, because there's an awful lot of thinking about, just the next 6 months at the moment, Laurie. Things are changing so quickly around the way that methodologies, frameworks, organizations, consumers all want slightly different things. So I certainly see a decentralized workforce using virtual technologies to maintain teams. I see augmented working environments, everything connected, autonomous ecosystems, robotic and human orchestration in working environments. I've talked about exponential change. If you can get beyond exponential, it'll be that. I see robotics, I see blockchain, and the potential quantum computing supporting exponential change in how we deliver services too. So there's an awful lot. I think, what does it look like in 2027? I'll be honest, I've no idea. I think I'd be hard pressed to tell you what it's like in 2018 at the minute with all the changes going. So yeah, I think if you're really interested, just keep looking, just keep researching and looking at what's changing out there. Don't take the norm as the norm, because it isn't anymore. It isn't.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I've got to echo what has just been said. I do believe the service desk will still be around. I think it is vital. What it's actually going to look like, yeah, it's going to be interesting to actually see what it looks like in 2 years' time. With these new innovations and all the cloud-based services and absolutely everything that is coming through to automate everything. It's going to be an interesting time. Okay, great. From your perspective, Keith, and then Tom. Keith, from employer's perspective.
Yeah, Laurie, I think the service desk of the future, whether it be, as David said, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, it's all going to build off what it looks like today. So if your service desk is making progress now and it's moving to more advanced systems and softwares and technologies right here, right now, then you've got a good chance that that particular service is going to be pushing the boundaries in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If it's still very much phone-based and email-based now, then it's going to be taking a bit of a slow burn to get to the next level. But it's going to evolve. But the customer service skills are still going to be quite highly in demand. Technical knowledge is going to be required, but it's the way people or the way companies communicate that, and that's the key thing.
Thanks, Keith. Tom, and Carl, and then Lynn. Tom?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Keith just said about customer service skills and people skills still very much needed. Despite all the upcoming technology like AI and automation, there is still going to be need for people to be able to talk to people. And I personally don't think that's ever going to disappear. I think, however, from a candidate point of view, I think employers are going to be looking for candidates that could add something a little bit extra. So not just soft skills, not just service skills, but something that can add that little more extra value to the organisation. Maybe development skills, maybe SQL service skills, whatever. But candidates that are able to diversify and add that little bit extra to the service desk and the business as a whole.
Thanks, Tom. Carl, and then Lynn. Carl.
Laurie, there's no doubt that it is the case, and it's going to continue, that user and customer requirements are going to become ever more demanding. Expectations with regard to speed, quality of support are going to be higher and higher as we progress across, regardless of which industry we're in. So what we're seeing at the moment, of course, is that service desks, very often you're finding that there is a shift to self-service for a lot of the more fundamental and repetitive functions. And then on everything else, we're definitely going to see more interactive methods of interaction. increased automation, and certainly an increase in the use of robotics and AI.
Thank you. And finally, Lynn, you've got the final say, the wrap up.
I think that this move towards automation is this move towards IT as a utility. Just has to be there, it just has to work. So I foresee the service desk moving into a more consultative role, education, exporting service management principles to business, doing internal account management. It's always been a part of the role. I just see, and that shift is already happening in the organisations we go into. I just see we're becoming more of that, with potentially, I think, that need to quickly develop utilities and mobile apps for the usability side of things.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to on that statement, it's going to be exciting times. Change is happening. Automation is there, but there is still a common thread of that people connection to help guide through that change. So for anyone, any organisations here tonight, I'd like to certainly feel free to contact the people that are on the screen, all our panel members. There's a wealth of information there about the courses. See anyone there. Tonight you've heard from a trainer, you've heard from employers' representatives, you've heard from SDI. So with that, I'd like to conclude the webinar. Thank you for your attendance. This webinar will be recorded and on the APMG website very shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.